Hello, welcome to this Crypto Professor video. Today I'm going to be discussing the difficult topic of hacks. Now, hacks are always going to be a part of the cryptocurrency landscape, just because there is a huge amount of capital available to sophisticated individuals who rather unscrupulously want to steal from other people. And this is exactly what's happened in the last 24 hours with a platform called Value.Defi. Now, around $15 million, it looks like, has been stolen out of the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem side and moved across to Ethereum. I'm going to be doing a little bit more analysis on what actually has happened towards the end of this video, but I will not be speculating on who's behind it, why it happened, etc. All we can say is that this is definitely not the first hack of its type like this, and it certainly won't be the last. I'm also going to provide you with some principles to deal with the psychological fallout from an event like this and how to actively manage your psychology when an event like this happens, because there's going to be more hacks in the future, and as long as you distribute everything appropriately, you can weather the storm, and that's what I'm trying to communicate with this video. Okay, I'm not going to be speculating on anything in this video other than presenting the facts that I can find. There's been no official communication yet on all channels from the Value.Defi team. They're currently battling to try and ascertain what went wrong and also how to recover people's funds. I am cautiously optimistic that anyone who has lost their money will have their money presented back to them in due course. That's one thing that Value.Defi has always done in the past, has presented opportunities and ways for people to recover their funds that have been lost to hacks, and I don't think this situation will be any different. So let's start by looking at Value.Defi. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of context, if you're not familiar, the average price of this VB swap token over the last 2-3 months has been over $1,000. In actual fact, it was around about $1,600, $1,700. So that's obviously a massive fall in the past 24 hours. GValueB, the average price was around about $4 or $5 over the same time period. So we've had a lot of liquidity moved out. And if you don't understand what liquidity means in terms of pools, effectively what you're able to do using platforms such as Value.Defi is to farm different amounts, different amounts of cryptocurrencies. So for example, this pool, I've got VB Swap and Binance Coin, BNB, and I've got 50 and 50. So I've put 50% VB Swap and 50% BNB, and I'm getting a return, or I was getting a return, of 224% APR. Okay. Now, obviously, these numbers are completely all over the place at the moment. I've got much more than $5 deposited in this, but because of the hack, the pool size has completely collapsed, owing to these figures being completely out of whack. You can also see down here, this is actually ridiculous. This is because the pool's been drained. Effectively, all value has been taken out of these pools and crossed over to the Ethereum network to be presumably cashed out in time. Now, the Ethereum hasn't been cashed out yet, as we can see on the Blockchain Explorer, and I'll be exploring that a little bit later. But for now, the value, the dollars, if you like, the capital is not on this platform. It has been moved, okay? Now, this is slightly surprising, okay, just because Value.Defi is actually one of the, I would say, one of the most secure platforms out there in terms of its audits and in terms of its security. The development team is anonymous, okay, which has caused a lot of concern for people now, obviously, because they think that potentially the development team were behind it. I do not think that is the case. There's been a lot of work put into Value.Defi over the months that I've been watching it, and it doesn't make sense for someone to spend that amount of effort and those amount of resources only to do a rug pull like this at this point in time, okay? It just doesn't make sense from my perspective. Why put all that effort into building a presence, into building, a multi-million-dollar enterprise, only to pull everything at the end? Okay, it just doesn't make sense. I think this is the work of an external agent, and I think that they've managed to find a loophole in the smart contracts, which at the end of the day, if you remember, are extremely new and extremely unprecedented. So there's always going to be, with smart contracts, the possibility of loopholes, of exploits like this. And if you can insure against it, then all the better. But if you don't have insurance, then make sure, it's a little bit late after the horse has bolted. But if you do lose any capital, make sure it's only a portion of your capital rather than everything on one platform. So we've obviously all got the audits here, and some of them extremely detailed. They actually used PeckShield to do their audit, and this is a 32-page document that goes into all the potential vulnerabilities of the smart contracts used on the platform. Okay, and this was completed in November 2020, so a little while ago. There has been numerous hacks of Value.Defi. Okay, so this is not the first one, but it is, by the looks of things, the largest, and also has taken the most damage on the platform. You, for example, can't now use the platform, and if you try and withdraw anything from the platform, you can't, basically. There's no liquidity tokens to actually remove anything, so your funds are effectively stuck in this ecosystem until something happens whereby they can remove it. Okay, so if I wanted to withdraw this $337 here, I wouldn't be able to. I'd have to go to I'd have to unstake my LP, and I'd have to remove it, but I can't. Okay, so it is stuck there. So for the time being, it's just watch and wait and see what happens. So what can you do in the meantime? Well, I'm going to provide some guidance on the general psychology of hacks, because this won't be the last one, and it's a good idea to kind of know what to do in the current circumstances. But I'm just going to discuss the total amount of Ethereum. So 4,290 Ethereum, it looks like, have been stolen, which is just over 15 million US dollars. Okay, obviously that's had a really detrimental effect on the price. It's currently down 80%. VB swap is the main token that's been affected, and it's been done in two waves. The first wave was actually a previous hack that happened last week, where some finances were stolen, and then the second one has been a lot more severe because it actually targeted the entire platform. Ironically, Value.Defi, the team behind Value.Defi, were due to enhance their security provisions in the last 24 hours using a time lock mechanism, but that appears to have not been effective at the moment, obviously, because they have had a second attack in the space of 48 hours. Now, obviously, trust is going to be a little bit of an issue here, because people who have trusted Value.Defi so far, it's been a little bit of a very bumpy ride, to say the least, over the last 48 hours with two hacks happening. There's going to be some serious questions being asked about the security provisions going forward and how they can actually repair the damage from this. I think they can repair the damage from it, but it's going to take quite a while to heal the wounds, and obviously the investment and criteria for security is going to have to be a lot higher in the future than it already was, in order to give people confidence to actually put money on the platform again. So they're working with two companies, PeckShield and Certic, who are now responsible for trying to stop the hackers from liquidating the $15 million through an exchange. Okay, both are very, very good in terms of supporting institutions that have undergone attacks, and blockchain technology companies that have undergone rug pulls like this. Okay, and in actual fact, at the moment, we can see that the Binance side of things, the Binance Smart Chain, that pool has been drained. Okay, so that pool has actually been completely removed. We can see all the capital leaving there. Okay, and that happened very, very quickly after the actual hack started. But if we look rather more positively on the Ethereum side of things, we've actually still got all the ether sitting there. We've got 1,046 ether sitting at this address. We've got another 1,046 ether sitting at this address. I just want to make sure those are the same. Yeah, they are. Okay, so they're slightly different. Okay, so and then we've got, so that's actually the same address, so disregard that for a second. And then we've got 3,244 ether sat at this address. Okay, so these two addresses are where everything's sat at the moment. Okay, and as I say, there are no transactions out at the moment. Okay, and the value is still sat in these addresses. Okay, so provided that Certic and PeckShield can withhold the withdrawal of these funds, there may be a possibility of getting money back sooner rather than later. Okay, now let's say, for example, that these pools, these wallets are emptied through some exchange and converted into fiat currency, presumably, or another cryptocurrency that can't be traced. Then there are still avenues to recover money from this. Okay, there are still avenues to get your money back, despite this, if this changes since this video goes out. Okay, but at the moment, 10 hours after the hack has completed, 11 hours in this case, the funds are still sat in this Ether account, and the 15 million is still there. Okay, so far, obviously it's not on the Value.Defi system, but the funds are still in existence and theoretically could be reversed if the hackers are unable to secure and withdraw these assets. Okay, now that's a big if. I get it. Yeah. Okay, but theoretically, everything is not over yet. Okay, and theoretically, things in the blockchain ecosystem can be restored, because I'm not sure who these wallets are owned by, whether they're owned by a particular exchange or whether they're owned by a private wallet. Okay, but theoretically things seem to have paused for the time being, which is a good indication. Okay, the longer the pause, the more likely it is that these funds will potentially be recovered, and even if they're not, there are other avenues for people to recover their funds. So let's look at some general advice on what to do during hacks like this. Okay, now there will be hacks again, there will be hacks in the future. Centralized entities have hacks, decentralized entities have hacks. Okay, hacks are just a part of the landscape, okay, unfortunately, and you just have to learn to live with them and learn to plan for them and know what to do if a significant amount of your capital is wiped out. And I'll be honest with you, a significant amount of my capital has been taken with this. Okay, I had around about 10 to 20% of my overall portfolio vested in Value.Defi. Okay, so that has been quite a large blow to me over the past 12 hours, but I felt it's more appropriate to actually see what you can do with this and use it to your advantage, and kind of get any silver lining you can out of it, rather than just putting your hands up and saying, oh, I don't like crypto anymore, etc. Okay, which is what a lot of people do. They take this very much to heart and they don't recover from it, which is possible. Okay, and I'm going to try and provide you with a little bit of psychological analysis on how to actually recover from these situations. Okay, so the first and foremost, the biggest rule is don't trade anything to try and make your money back. It's very unlikely to work and you'll just lose more money. Okay, so someone might be looking at another cryptocurrency that's due to climb very dramatically. Okay, maybe Dogecoin, for instance, which seems to be bucking the trend at the moment. Every sensible person seems to be losing money, and people investing in Dogecoin seem to be making money, which all good to them. But I don't think it's going to continue very much longer. Okay, that's my personal opinion. You may differ, that's fine. Okay, but don't buy anything just because you've lost money, especially within 48 hours. The emotional toil of losing money may fuel you into making very poor investing decisions, which will just exacerbate the issue. Okay, so take a break from, if you've lost money in Value.Defi, take a break over the weekend. Don't trade anything over the weekend. Come back to it, switch off your computer if you need to, go and do something else, take a walk, watch a TV program, just do something else to take your mind off of it, and come back when the dust has settled and we know a little bit more about what has gone on. So if you're watching this now, around about 12 hours after the hack took place, it's too late to try and withdraw your funds. please don't attempt it. Okay, I tried in the first hour to withdraw some of my funds and I wasn't able to. Okay, so now it's no longer possible. We've seen where the funds are. They're sat in those Ethereum addresses that I mentioned. Okay, so you're not going to be able to withdraw anything because there's nothing there to withdraw. Okay. Please don't try and turn the situation to your advantage by buying anything that is lower in price because of the hack. You are unlikely to profit from this. The prices are likely to stagnate due to FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt, and you'll get your chance to help fund the recovery when the coast is clearer. Okay, so obviously if someone wanted to buy some VB swap right now, you know, £119 is a very attractive price considering it was over 1,000 only 48 hours ago. Okay, but you won't be doing anything to help the situation really. In actual fact, when the snapshot is completed, you're unlikely to actually be able to recover those funds that you've just put in. Okay, so it's better just to leave everything as it is, for the development team to do their research to find out what's going on, and for the snapshot to be accurate so that you can kind of take stock of everything and money can be recovered first. That's the most important thing. Okay, so just don't try and take advantage of the situation because it's just not likely to be profitable for you. Wait for the dust to settle and see what can be done to recover your funds. There will be an official communication probably later today about this from the Value.Defi team once they know what has actually gone on and once they're able to kind of plot a pathway to recovery, and then you can kind of see what's likely to happen in the immediate future regarding your funds. Keep an eye on the communication channels, Discord, Telegram, Twitter, etc. But don't pay too much attention to anything apart from official communications from the development team or official communications from the actual Value.Defi project itself. People panic and they post a lot of things that are stupid, hurtful, or just rude under these circumstances. Okay, you also get people who are not involved in the project, who like to just spread fear, uncertainty and doubt, who jump on the bandwagon and just toy with people. Just ignore them. Okay, they're not important. Maybe they've lost money and they're feeling hurt, or maybe they haven't even lost money and they just want to cause more pain and suffering for people. Okay, just ignore them. Pay attention to the official communication channels and disregard most of all other things. Naturally, you can get some support from these channels as well, okay, with people losing money and you losing money and everyone losing money effectively. But try not to be victim. Try not to think of yourself as a victim, okay, because it will just further exacerbate your low mood and that won't help anyone, okay. The best thing to do is probably just wait for the official communication to come out and then pay attention to that and kind of ignore everything in the process. People are going to be very angry, very hurt, panicking, and that's not going to do anything for your psychology if you're absorbing that. It's effectively doom scrolling through Twitter and through Telegram at the moment, where people are just collecting their thoughts, and it's not great. It's not great to read if your psychology is vulnerable at the moment due to losses or apparent losses. Okay, keep everything in perspective. There is a good chance that your money will be recovered. This is not a trade that has gone wrong, which is where 100% of your money is obviously lost. Okay, if you do a bad trade and you lose money on margin, that's definitely gone. This is a whole different situation where theoretically your money could be recovered. Okay, like I say, that Ethereum is still sat in those addresses, and even if it does disappear, there are still options available to recover your funds. Okay, so there's kind of a two-step process to this. Okay. Now, last but certainly not least, okay, if you feel suicidal, phone the Samaritans on 116 123. That number works anywhere in the world, and they will be able to hear you talk about this, okay? And talking about it is really important, okay, because it allows you to put your thoughts in perspective. A lot of the time, when we're anxious, when we're panicking, when we're upset, we keep it in our minds, and what it does is it ricochets around in our mind like a squash court. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and amplified and amplified and amplified. By sharing it with someone like a professional counsellor, you can actually help yourself get through the system, get through the process, and it starts to feel a little bit better, even though nothing has changed and you're just talking about it. I should know, I am a counsellor. I'm a fully trained UKCP counsellor. That's actually my other job during the week, is that I see clients and talk about all sorts of wonderful things and all sorts of terrible things with them. Okay. If you want to, you could also phone the emergency services on 911, 999 or 112, depending on where you are, whether you're in Europe, UK or the US. Okay. And if you are thinking of harming yourself, I would definitely phone the emergency services to try and prevent that from happening, or at least tell someone close to you how you're feeling. Okay. Explain to someone close to you what has happened. They're more likely to be sympathetic and empathetic. I told my wife within 2 hours of this happening that I'd lost potentially this amount of money, and she was fine with it. Okay, because she understands that I have policies and procedures in place to make sure that any damage like this is limited to a smaller part of my portfolio rather than a larger part of my portfolio. Now, obviously, that might not be the case for you if you've invested too much in this. Okay, maybe this is a lesson for the future. But as I say, at the moment, things look positive. The funds have stopped. They are still sat in their various addresses for the time being. Let's just refresh this just to make sure. Okay. And if you want to, you can get these wallet addresses. I'll put them in the description below this video so you can monitor them if you wish. Okay. But as I say, if they start to be emptied, then don't feel too bad. Okay. There are still many options available to you in order to recover the funds at a later stage using other processes. But for now, let's just sit back, let's relax, maybe go and do something else, maybe forget about crypto for 24, 48 hours, and we'll come back maybe on Monday to an actual narrative and a plan of action to actually recover some of these funds that have gone missing due to this hack. And Value.Defi will continue to go from strength to strength because they have been tested in this way. Okay. But for now, happy trading.